ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 24, chanting of the song sung by Lord Shiva, that is Rudra Gita. So we are in the final section of this particular chapter. From text 69 to 79, that is what is to be done, how it is to be chanted daily. This is instructed by Lord Shiva to Prachetas, and the Falashruti of Rudra Gita. Right. So in our Bhagavad Manthan, we will discuss in detail, the analytical study of Rudra Gita, how it is divided in 4 parts and everything else. So we come to text 71. So beautiful verse. We will recite this verse. योगादेशमुपासाद्य
योगादेशम् उपासाद्य
धारयन्तो मुनिव्रताः
धारयन्तो मुनिव्रतः
समाहितधियः सर्व
समाहितधियः सर्व
एतदभ्यासताद्धृताः।
एतदभ्यासताद्धृतः.
Translation.
My dear princes, in the form of a prayer, I have delineated the yoga system of chanting the holy name. All of you should take this important stotra within your minds and promise to keep it in order to become great sages. By acting silently, like a great sage, and by giving attention and reverence, you should practice this method. Purport. In the Hatha Yoga system, one has to practice bodily exercises, dhyana, dharana, asana, meditation, etc. One also has to sit in one place in a particular posture and concentrate his gaze on the tip of the nose. There are so many rules and regulations for the Hatha Yoga system that it is practically impossible to perform it in this stage. The alternative system of Bhakti Yoga is very easy, not only in this age, but in others as well. For this yoga system was advocated long ago by Lord Shiva when he advised the princes, the sons of Maharaj Prachina Bharishat. The Bhakti Yoga system is not newly introduced. For even 5000 years ago, Lord Krishna recommended this Bhakti Yoga as the topmost yoga. As Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita 6.47, Yoginam api sarvesham madgati nantara atmanam shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamomataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The topmost yogi is he who constantly thinks of Krishna within himself and chants the glories of the Lord. In other words, this system of Bhakti Yoga has been existing from time immemorial and is now continuing in this Krishna consciousness movement. The word Munivrataha is significant in this regard because those who are interested in advancing in spiritual life must be silent. Silence means talking only of Krishna Katha. This is the silence of Maharaj Ambarisha. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindyor Vachamshi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnani. King Ambarisha always fixed his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord and talked of him only. Bhagavatam 9.4.19. We should also take this opportunity in life to become as good as a great saint simply by not talking unnecessarily with unwanted persons. We should either talk of Krishna or chant Hare Krishna undeviatingly. This is called Munivrataha. The intelligence must be very sharp, samahita dhiya, and should always be acting in Krishna consciousness. The words etad abhyasata drutaha indicate that if one takes these instructions from a spiritual master with great reverence, adruta, and practices them accordingly, he will find this bhakti yoga process to be very, very easy. Hare Krishna.
So now Lord Shiva is instructing here yoga desham upasadya. Upasadya means by constantly reciting this particular prayers, dharayanto munivrataha. Dharayanto, and taking them within your heart, munivrataha, follow this vow of the great sages. Samahita dhiya sarva, samahita dhiya sarva, that is always fixed in one's mind and intelligence. All of you should practice this with great reverence. Okay. Adritaha. Adritaha means with very, very great reverence. So every word of the shloka is very precise by Lord Shiva. You know, how he is describing. This is the prayer, that is the yoga system of chanting the holy names. Take this important stotra within your mind and keep it in the mind to become the great sages. Acting silently like a great sage, Munivrata, and giving attention and reverence, Adrita, you should practice this method, Yoga Desha Upasadya. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Hatha Yoga system, which is the Ashtanga Yoga, begins with pranayam, yama, niyama, asana, right? Then there is a pranayam, then dhyana, dhyana, samadhi, ityadi, is impossible in Kali Yoga. It is very, very difficult to perform. You know, Lord, even Arjuna, when this was proposed to, Arjuna flatly refused. Arjuna says that, oh, my mind, it's very, very difficult. This age, it's impossible to do this. But the alternate system, which is not just for Kali Yuga, but which is applicable in every Yuga, we have seen, the example of this. The alternate system, Dhruva Maharaj is also practicing this. Prahlad Maharaj is practicing this. So this alternate system of Bhakti Yoga is not only just the alternate, but it is far more superior. And this is not something a new invention. Not that I sat in meditation in the cave and this something, came to my mind. No. Even Lord Krishna, 5,000 years ago, proposed the same Bhakti Yoga. In fact, while explaining Dhyana Yoga, Lord Krishna concludes with Bhakti Yoga. Just imagine. 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is Dhyana Yoga. Conclusion of that chapter, Lord Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham mat gaten antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mata. That, my dear Arjuna, you are asking me Dhyana Yoga. Yes, but amongst all the Dhyana yogis, the greatest of the Dhyana yogis, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. He is most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. And this is Mata Mamaha. This is my opinion. This is the opinion of the Supreme Lord. So the topmost yogi always thinks of Krishna within and chants the holy names. And this system of Bhakti Yoga is existing from time immemorial and is now, Prabhupada says, is now continuing in the form of Krishna consciousness mission. That is the mission of ISKCON. Another important word here is Mauna Vrata. So Mauna Vrata means practicing silence to advance in spiritual life. Right. Now, here Prabhupada describes that spiritual silence means speaking only about Krishna and spreading the mission of Krishna consciousness. Just like the silence was practiced by Ambarish Maharaj. Savai mana Krishna pada vachamsi vaikuntha gunanuvarnane. This is the silence. Ambarish Maharaj, Vaikuntha Guna Varnan is the part of the silence. But silence is very important. Right? There are two schools of thought, even in the material life. But one school of thought which I very adhere to is, I mean, it's a good thing I realized about this recently. I was hearing, and good thing I realized is it says that when you speak what you are going to do, brain gets the signal as if you have achieved it, and therefore your energy in doing is washed away simply by speaking what you are going to do. So therefore, even the say a student is there who wants to achieve, say, like a class topper. He wants to become a class topper, but more he goes around and chatters around, class topper, I want to become this, then people will praise him, people will pat him, somebody will say, oh, what a vow you have taken, what sankalpa you have. And this appreciation for the brain, it is taken as accomplishment. So the appreciation is taken as accomplishment, and therefore the energy which should go in accomplishing the task is loosened, and therefore maunam is very important even in the material activities as well, right? So one should first act and then one should speak. This is very important thing. Somebody wants to reduce weight, somebody wants to, you know, have a daily routine of something. First act and let the action speak, then the speech, right? So these are the two meanings of maunam. One is material and another is spiritual. Maunam is Vaikuntha Gunanuvarnani. And this is how, and then the last one is Adrita. Adrita means one has to take the instructions of the spiritual master with great reverence, Adrita, and practice them accordingly. And then one will find this method very, very easy. So this is how to take instructions and how to practice. It's very beautifully explained by Lord Shiva here. Lord Shiva is always the case. Lord Shiva means clarity. So this is always the case. Lord Shiva means extreme clarity. Lord Shiva will say, who is the Lord? Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is ambiguity, strategic ambiguity. Lord Shiva is extreme clarity. Okay. So another shloka he describes Aradhana Nam Sarvesham, Vishnu Aradhana Param. Okay, so Lord Shiva means directly he will tell that it is Vishnu Aradhana Param. So he says how to practice. Very beautiful verse. This is text 72. Idamah purasmakam Bhagavan Vishvasrutpatihi Bhrugadinam Atmajanam Sushrushu Samsishrukshatam. Translation?
Translation: This prayer was first spoken to us by Lord Brahma, the master of all creators. The creators, headed by Bhrigu, were instructed in these prayers because they wanted to create. Purport: Lord Brahma was created by Lord Vishnu, then Lord Brahma created Lord Shiva and other great sages headed by Bhrigu Muni. These great sages included Bhrigu, Marichi, Atreya, Vashishta and others. All these great sages were in charge of creating population. Since there were not very many living entities in the beginning, Vishnu entrusted Brahma with the business of creation, and Brahma in his turn created many hundreds and thousands of demigods and great sages to continue with the creation. At the same time, Lord Brahma cautioned all his sons and disciples by reciting the prayers now recited by Lord Shiva. The material creation means material engagement, but material engagements can be counteracted if we always remember our relationship with the Lord, as that relationship is described in these prayers recited by Lord Shiva. In this way, we can remain constantly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, despite our engagement in the creation, we cannot be deviated from the path of Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement is specially meant for this purpose. In this material world, everyone is engaged in some particular occupational duty, which is described in the Varnashram Dharma. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudras, and everyone are engaged in their occupational duty. But if one remembers his first duty, keeping in constant contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything will be successful. If one simply executes the rules and regulations of the Varnashra Dharma in the role of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, and keeps busy and does not remember one's eternal relationship with the Lord, one's business and activities as well as occupational duties will simply be a waste of time. This is confirmed in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.8. Dharma sva nushtitah pumasam vishwavekasana katasu yaha notapadya yedya dinaratim shrama evahi kevalam. The conclusion is that even if one is busy executing his occupational duty, his business in Krishna consciousness need not be hampered. He has simply to execute the devotional service of Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing, chanting, and remembering. One need not abandon his occupational duty, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.46. Yataha pravarti bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamha bhayacharaya siddhim vindati manavaha. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, one can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. Thus, one can continue with his occupational duty, but if he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Lord Shiva herein prescribes, he attains his perfection of life. Swanustithasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritosanam. Bhagavatam 1.2.13. We should continue executing our occupational duties, but if we try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by our duties, then our lives will be perfected. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Now Lord Shiva describes, this is the prayer which I have received from my father, Lord Shiva, when he was instructing all great personalities, Bhrigu Adinam, headed by Bhrigu and other Prajapatis, in the matter when they wanted to create. So when they wanted to create? Because here Prachetas, they are going for Vivaha, and Vivaha means, they are going for creation, right? So Vivaha naturally means creation. Vivaha means, the sun, Utpatti and everything else. And therefore, these prayers were spoken previously by Lord Brahma. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Lord Brahma comes from Lord Vishnu, Padmanabha, and Lord Brahma later creates great personalities like Lord Shiva and many other Prajapatis. So these Prajapatis are the Bhrigu, Marichi, Atreya, Vashishta, so on and so forth. That typically what we have our Gotra is, right? So Gotra, the lineage, goes back to all these great personalities. And if anybody doesn't know his Gotra, naturally Prabhupada says, every devotee, their Gotra is Achyuta Gotra, right? But the Gotra is this concept. It's not the concept, it's a reality. But the Gotra is the concept where we are going back to the ancestral sage, Prajapati, who is created by Lord Brahma. So Lord Vishnu, he instructed Brahmaji in the business of creation, and then later Brahmaji created hundreds and thousands of Prajapatis, and the creation continues. But the material creation is always engaging, right? Somebody is creating something new. Just ask somebody who is creating something new. It takes a lot of energy and time. And therefore, the material creation means material engagement. And the effects of the material engagement can be counteracted by spiritual engagement, especially chanting the holy names. And in this case, the holy names being instructed to Prachetas is Rudra Gita. So, one thing is that we have to act in this world, Varnashrama Acharavat, right? But while acting in the Varnashram, the first duty is we have to always remember Krishna. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Right. So, not Satatam kirtayanto mam. Mam anusmara yuddhecha. One has to anusmara the Supreme Lord and yuddha also. Mam anusmara yuddhecha. If one is doing only yuddha and is not remembering the Supreme Lord, then the purpose of one's life is completely spoiled. Right. And Prabhupada quotes here Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharmasvanushtitam pumsam vishvaksena kathasu yat na utpadayed yadi ratim shrama evahi kevalam. Na utpadayed. If this is not going to increase utpadayed yadi ratim towards the Supreme Lord, rati towards the message, rati towards the chanting the holy names, the spiritual activities, smaranam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam, shrama evahi kevalam, it is only a decorated work. right? And more we are in the realm where that many people, many devotees also we have seen, they give up a job and start a business. And we always discuss this: when you start a business, that means you control your day. And if you are controlling your day, it is your priority to make sure that the Krishna consciousness remains a respectable priority. Not that whole day we are working in the job, and last the dead hours in the night we are dedicating for chanting. Okay, if somebody is in a job, it's one thing, because they have to punch in at 9 o'clock, and if it is 1 minute late and their half CL is cut and all those things. But if you are your own boss, then what stops us from having a quality spiritual life? No utpadayed yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. Shrama has to be there. One has to work very hard. Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita later. Prabhupada purports are so amazing. One after another. It's like Prabhupada purports is like the power overs. What is that called as power over, na? So Prabhupada quotes Bhagavatam and immediately Bhagavad Gita. Yata pumbir, swakarmana tamachabhyartam siddhim vindanti manava. It is not that one has to give up one's occupational duty. No, Bhagavatam paradigm remains always. Even when we are living, Bhagavatam always, Bhagavad Gita always remains. So, swakarmana, one has to, swakarmana means one has to be engaged in one's occupational duty very well. Swakarmana tamachabhyartham siddhim vindanti manava. And by engaging in one's occupational duty, what happens is one has to be always also engaged in mam anusmara yuddhacha. Right. So this is mam anusmara yuddhacha. Just a minute. So this is the Bhagavad Gita paradigm, that is swakarmana tamachabhyartham siddhim vindanti manavah. One has to continue with one's material activities, occupational activities, and at the same time, Mamanusmara Yuddhacha. But we should try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by our duties. Then our lives will be perfect. So we come to text 73. ते वयं नोदिताः सर्वे प्रजासर्गे प्रजेश्वराः अनेन ध्वस्ततमसा सिसृक्ष्मः विविधा प्रजाः. Translation.
When all the Prajapatis were ordered to create by Lord Brahma, we chanted these prayers in praise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and became completely free from all ignorance. Thus, we were able to create different types of living entities. Purport. In this verse, we can understand that the various types of living entities were created simultaneously at the very beginning of the creation. The nonsensical Darwinian theory of evolution is not applicable here. It is not that intelligent human beings did not exist millions of years ago. On the contrary, it is understood that the most intelligent creature, Lord Brahma, was first created. Then Lord Brahma created other saintly sages like Marichi, Bhrigu, Atreya, Vasishtha, and Lord Shiva. They in their turn created different types of bodies according to karma. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapiladeva told his mother that the living entity gets a particular type of body in accordance with his work, and that this body is decided upon by higher authorities. The higher authorities, as appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are Lord Brahma and all other Prajapatis and Manus. Thus, from the beginning of creation, it can be seen that the first creature is the most intelligent. It is not that so-called modern intelligence has developed by the gradual process of evolution. As stated in Brahma Vaivarta Purana, there is a gradual evolutionary process, but it is not the body that is evolving. All the bodily forms are already there. It is the spiritual entity, or spiritual spark within the body that is being promoted by the laws of nature under the supervision of superior authority. We can understand from this verse that from the very beginning of creation, different varieties of living entities were existing. It is not that some of them have become extinct. Everything is there. It is due to our lack of knowledge that we cannot see things in their proper perspective. In this verse, the word dvashta tamasaha is very important. For without being free of ignorance, one cannot control the creation of different types of living entities. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.31.1, Daiva Nitrena, bodies are awarded under the supervision of superior powers. How can these superior powers control the evolutionary process of the living entity if they are not free from all imperfection? The followers of the Vedic instructions cannot accept the Darwinian theory of evolution, for it is marred by imperfect knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So, te vayam nodita sarve. When all the Prajapatis were ordered to create Prajasarge Prajeshwara, anena dvastha tamasa, they became completely free from all the ignorance. Srusrukshmo Vividha Praja. And they were engaged in creating different types of living entities. Vividha Praja. Right. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Prabhupada dedicates the entire purport to Vividha Praja. Prabhupada explains that the nonsensical Darwinian theory of evolution is not applicable here. It is not that the intelligent human beings did not exist millions of years ago. Right? No. All the living entities were created simultaneously by different Prajapatis. Correct. And it is very correct. Prabhupada is going to explain this very nicely, beautifully here. It is not that a living in, some some amoeba came, the unicellular came first, and then, they slowly got evolved, get adjusted, and became extinct. No. Prabhupada says everything is there. Don't worry. Nothing is missing. Everything is there. And otherwise, how can we see the monkeys when they are evolved to humans? Monkeys still exist. Humans still exist. Missing link is still a missing link. Right. So here, Srila Prabhupada quotes Kapila Muni, Karmana Daiva Netrena, Jantur Dehopapadyare. That by the superior arrangement of karma and daiva, by the higher authorities, different bodily forms are awarded. The bodily forms were created simultaneously. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha. When somebody acts in sattvagun, one is elevated to the higher bodily form. Madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganya guna vrittistha, adho gachanti tamasa. So, the modern Darwin's theory, Prabhupada says, is not accepted here. But thus, from the beginning of creation, we can see that the first creation is most intelligent. It is not that the intelligence developed by the gradual process of evolution. But is there evolution? Yes. Vedas also talk about evolution, Brahma Vaivarta Puran. But that evolution process is not of the body, but of the living entity who is evolving through the bodies. Right? Just like when the child goes to school, it is the child who changes the benches or the child who changes the classrooms, and not the classrooms are evolving. It's not that we may say that class 1 has gone to class 2 and class 2 has gone to class 3. But somebody from class 1 may be demoted also because he is not yet evolved to take the learnings of class 2. So it is the occupant of the class, they are going from one grade to another, and not the benches are going from one grade to another. Right? Who is evolving? The student is evolving, not the benches and the classroom itself. So Prabhupada writes there, this nonsensical theory of dvasta tamasa. This is this is to destroy the free from ignorance, and therefore one has to be very aware that the followers of the Vedic instructions cannot accept the Darwinian theory of evolution, for it is marred by imperfect knowledge. And currently in USA, they accept both the theories. They accept Darwinian theory or your own spiritual theory. And when they were asked why you allow Darwin, they say we don't have better alternative. So we are teaching whatever current alternative we have. But you can write your own theory also. Adam Eve is also okay, and Darwin is also okay. And whatever you think is also okay, because Darwin is as nonsensical as whatever you may imagine. And this is Dvasta Tamasa. So Srila Prabhupada writing Vividha Praja, entire purport on these two words. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.